What's going on? It's BF Nkrumah, and this is the very first episode of the Nkrumah Perspective, where I teach personal development and dealing with life skills through the perspective of a black man. I'm so excited, man. This is a long time coming. I should have started a podcast a long time ago, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen, but it's happening right now. And I'm very excited about what we're getting ready to teach tonight and what we're going to be doing week after week. Also, starting next week on Tuesday, we're having the Ask BF session where every Tuesday, Black men can tune in and ask their questions about personal development. And I will talk them through whatever their questions are, whatever their issues are, whatever it might be that they want to develop and become better in any area of their lives. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in so far, man. We're getting ready to jump into this. We're going to be dealing with the power of self-image, dealing with what self-image is, understanding the self-image, how it affects what you do, what you believe you do, and just all of the different things, self-image. And then we're going to be talking about how to strengthen your self-image. And once I get done, I'll probably be going for maybe a half hour, 45 minutes or so. And then I'll open up the floor if anybody else wants to jump on in the video, in the podcast with me and ask your questions or leave your comments. So, self-image. For one, self-image is not self-esteem. Self-image is different from your self-esteem. Your self-image really dictates what your self-esteem is, which is why a lot of times people who deal with self-esteem issues can't raise their self-esteem. And the reason is because they don't deal with their self-image. You can't just deal with your esteem, what you believe you can do, and all of these different things, how you view yourself, if you don't deal with your self-image. So your self-image is the mental picture of yourself that is most times resistant to change. It controls who you believe you are, and in turn, what you will inevitably do in life. It is the non-physical face of your personality, the non-physical face of your personality. It's that full picture in your mind of who you believe you are. So you're not going to do anything outside of what you believe the person that you are is supposed to do. So that image, not only is it a physical image, whether you think you're attractive or you think you're unattractive, not only is it a physical image, but it's also an image of your qualities. It's also an image of your capabilities. It's also an image of how other people view you physically, how they view you mentally, how they view your skills and talents. So we all have this image in our mind of exactly who we are and what we are capable of. And that is your self-image. Now, the problem with the self-image is, well, not the problem with the self-image, but when you have a self-image issue is when whatever that image you have of yourself in your mind does not include doing the things that you say you want to do, or living the life that you want to live, or the life that you say that you want to live. So, like a lot of times people talk about folks living in mediocrity, which I believe is sort of kind of a thing, but really it's not it's not a mediocre life if you have a mediocre self-image. If you got a mediocre self-image, that mediocre life is right on par for who you believe you are. Now, if you want to rise above that mediocre life, you have to have a self-image that is not mediocre. So when you have self-image issues resulting from how you see yourself, right? It deals with like, what do you really see you doing and who you really see yourself being in life? That question right there. Sometimes we just got to really be honest with ourselves, right? And you ain't got to answer this question with me. You ain't got to answer this question with anybody else. You just got to answer this question for yourself. What do you really see you doing? And who do you really see yourself being in life? Just be honest with yourself. When you think about these things that you want in life, do you really see yourself as someone who deserves them? Do you really see yourself as someone who can accomplish them? Do you really see yourself as someone who has the skill set to accomplish and live in that dream life, that dream house, that dream car, that dream character, that dream marriage, those dream friendships, whatever the dream may be? How do you really see yourself as it pertains to that? If we really get honest with ourselves, a lot of the way that we see ourselves does not equal what we say we want in life. If you really be honest with yourself, it's like, all right, yeah, I want this, but I don't really see myself as an individual who can actually do this. So your self-image is where I can't comes from. It's where the whole idea of I can't. The only reason you believe you can't is because your self-image said you don't do that. Right? So I remember hearing a story about this guy. Someone asked him, can he play the piano? And he said, I don't know. I've never tried. Right? So like normally, if somebody asks you, can you play an instrument that you've never played before? Your response would just be no, right? Like, no, I don't know how to play the piano. I've never trained on the piano. I never trained myself on the piano. I never tried to play the piano. It's just, no, I can't play it. But this guy says, I don't know. I never tried. And that's the difference between a self-image of somebody who believes that they have the capability of doing things and the self-image of somebody who believes that they can't, or believe that they need some kind of astronomical amount of proof that they can do something. They need all the stars in the sky to align and the planets to align in just the right way and the sun to shine a certain way in order for them to believe that they can actually do something. But my man said, I don't know. I never tried it. But I see myself as somebody who probably could do that. If I put my mind to it, I probably could play a piano. But take the piano while just put anything in life, right? Anything that you haven't done before, anything that you have never attempted. Do you have the mindset and the image of yourself as somebody who could take on this task and actually complete it? Or do you look at certain things and you're like, nah, ain't no way I can do that. There's no way I can do that. That's when you got to shift your self-image. That's when you got to recognize that the image of who you believe you are is not conducive to being what you say you want. So that negative self-image have you saying things like, I can't see myself doing that. Ever said that before? I can't see myself doing that. But this is the crazy thing, right? You will vicariously live through somebody else because you can't see yourself doing it, even if it's something that you desire to do. Brother, you might see somebody wheeling a motorcycle, you like watching them do it. You like, man, I wish I could wheelie the motorcycle, but I can't see myself doing that. So even though you are enamored with it, even though you're drawn to it, even though you're fascinated with it, even though that's something that you would like to be able to do, when you say those words, man, I can't see myself doing that. That is your negative self-image talking to you. Your negative self-image talking to you, telling you that you can't. And so since you don't see yourself doing it, guess what you'll never do? Try. You will never attempt it. Why? Because you won't do anything that isn't consistent with your self-image. Anything that is outside of the box of how you view yourself is something that you will never attempt. Forget Where you succeed through trial and error, you won't even attempt it because you got that thought in your mind right there. I can't see myself doing that. Folks will dream about being a billionaire, but do you really see yourself as somebody who can create out of their mind an idea that is worth $1 billion? Do you really see yourself as somebody who can put the dedication in the beginning, like Jeff Bezos when he's just in the garage way before Amazon takes off? Can you go through sleepless nights? Can you go through things not working? Do you see yourself as somebody who has the tenacity to build something as big as $1 billion business? Can you see yourself running $1 billion business? So we talk about things we want. We dream about things that we say we want. But in reality, our self-image doesn't even say we can have those things. They're just dreams. Question: is the way you see yourself equal to what you say you want out of life? Is the way you see yourself equal to what you say you want out of life? Now, you can daydream about something, right? Something that you never even expect to actually have. Like some days, I daydream about what it's like to be in the NBA. Sometimes I dream about what it's like to be in the NFL. Never, ever, ever does my self-image actually say, you're really going to play in the NBA. You're really going to play in the NFL. I don't, my self-image says, boy, you just turned 40 years old. Your knees be cracking when you get up off the chair. and you probably run a 40-yard dash in 10 seconds when you're supposed to be running in 4 something to 5. 5 is slow for the NFL. My self-image doesn't say I can do that, but I'll daydream about it. I'll think about it. But if my image doesn't show me actually doing this, if the image of myself is not equal to what I'm daydreaming about, it's just a daydream and I will never accomplish it because I don't really see myself doing it. I'm never going to go to the basketball court every single day, at least at this age right now, playing basketball, really trying to make it to the NBA, thinking I'm going to make it. I'm never going to be out there on the field thinking I'm going to make the NFL. I'm never going to act on these daydreams because they don't fit my self-image. So I know it's like I'm just doing all negative, but I just want you to understand. I want you to understand what this self-image is so you can get a picture in your mind of what you need to change. Because it's not about what you do. It's not about your actions. You know, one of my mantra is always the whys are more important than the whats. It's not about your actions. It's about how you actually view yourself. How you actually view yourself. Question here, right? What have you programmed your subconscious mind to believe? One of the things I talk about a lot about is how do you talk to yourself? What does your self-doubt sound like? What does your fear sound like? What does your hesitancy sound like? What do the thoughts sound like in your mind when you get an idea of something that you want to do, but then you talk yourself out of it? That self-talk, that negative self-talk, all of those, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I'm not equipped to do it. All of those different self-doubting thoughts, whatever they might be for you, are programming your subconscious mind. What your subconscious mind believes is going to create your reflexes towards life experiences, in particular, opportunities for you to live a better life than you're living. So whatever that self-doubt is, right? Whatever those thoughts are, programs your subconscious daily. And then it creates this strong self-image It creates this image of you that you hold on to. I'm only going to do what my self-image shows me. Because I allowed my self-doubt to become my actual belief. I allowed my fearful thoughts to become how I actually feel about what I can accomplish. I allow these hesitant thoughts to cause me to always move slower than I should move in the first place. And then that creates the image of who I am. Folks feel like I'm a procrastinator. You're not a procrastinator. Your self-image is showing you that. You have the ability at any given moment to do any given thing. There's literally nothing keeping you from attempting and executing a task right now. So the idea that you actually are a procrastinator, like you are, your DNA is built to make you put things off and you only do it at the last minute, is false. You're not a procrastinator. Your self-image is a procrastinator. And because your self-image is a procrastinator, your actions is procrastination. So your self-image can hold a bunch of falsities in it that cause you to have actions that don't lift your life up, but pull your life down. So what have you programmed your subconscious mind to believe? Because what your subconscious mind believes is going to create your reflexes towards life experiences, in particular opportunities for growth. So now somebody comes to you with a brilliant idea, but your self-image say you can't do it because of all the doubt, because of all the fear, because of all the hesitancy. Now you done created this big, bad, doubting, fearful, hesitant image of yourself. And now somebody's coming to you with the opportunity of a lifetime and you won't even take it. Your instinct is going to be to turn down an opportunity before you even hear it out. Your reflex is going to turn down opportunities before you even learn all the ins and outs. The moment you hear something about growth, here come that fearful, doubting, hesitant self-image. Nope, we're not doing that. I can't see myself doing that. You ain't even hear me out. Nah. And a lot of black folk got that. Start talking about let's rebuild Black Wall Street. You know, folks, the first thing folks gonna say, well, all they're gonna do is burn it down. That's the first thing. Because listen, one of the things I learned in life is the first thing black folks will show you is how they think something won't work. Well, listen, you can just come up with the idea, listen, I was thinking about doing this, and they like, man, if you try that, then this is going to happen, and that going to happen. It's like, damn. I mean, I understand, doing the SWOT analysis, my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and my threats. But all you're talking about is the weaknesses and the threats. Where my strengths at? Where my opportunities at? The first thing you jump into is how it won't work. And that's after you have this beat down self-image, this self-image that is frozen in fear, that is frozen in analyzing everything. Sometimes you just got to jump. Sometimes you just got to leap. Sometimes you just got to do something. One of our problems is we want things too fast. I'm gonna raise my hand because I've definitely struggled with that. Want things to jump off immediately. And it's crazy. I was listening to my homies Matt and Chad podcast, the realest podcast ever, and they were saying, statistically speaking, you are not officially a podcast until you have 15 episodes. So from 1 to 14, you could just be playing around. You might quit. It's over. Then they said things don't actually start to pick up until you're around the 85th episode. Now, typically people do podcasts once a week. So that means things aren't going to start rolling until a year and a half. Can you push through? So all that doubt and fear is going to keep you from pushing through. You got to start. Gain a viewer a week. You want to start a business, gain a customer every week. You just got to start. You have to see yourself succeeding. See a future version of yourself that is succeeding. But your self-image, right, it also presents issues, or it can also present issues from how you think other people see you. So you might want to do something and you're like, nah, nobody gonna take me seriously. Now, nobody ever told you they don't take you serious. I mean, there is no, and that's the crazy thing about your self-image. There does not have to be any evidence that what you see yourself doing or not doing is real. It's no evidence. No, these thoughts are coming out of nowhere. You're allowing them to fester. You're holding on to them. They are embedded in your subconscious. They begin to control your autonomic nervous system. I can't wait till we do a podcast. I do a podcast on that. They get all deep into your autonomic nervous system, and then they control all of your subconscious actions. Nobody's going to take me seriously. Well, do it first and see. A lot of brothers, because we get stuck, right, with man, ain't nobody gonna give me a chance. Sometimes you gotta make your own chance. But you talk yourself out because your self-image is saying people see me like this. I remember reading Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and Dr. Joy DeGruy was talking about self-esteem. And she said self-esteem is neither high or low. It's either full or it's empty. And she said people are walking around with vacant esteem. So she starts talking about men in the inner city with the whole, saying, nigga, what you looking at thing. And what she begins to talk about is these men having vacant esteem, and their self-image is so negative that they think another man looks at them the way they look at themselves. So I view myself as so much of nothing that I'm projecting that you see me as nothing too. So now I have a problem with you because I believe you view me as nothing, because that's what I view myself. I know that just sounds like a big circle of nothing, but that's what it is. When your self-image has you believing that other people are viewing you a certain kind of way. And then, see, if you don't think nobody's going to give you a chance, guess what you're not going to do? Whatever you needed to do to get your chance. Oh, they don't even view me as this type of person. Nobody going to want to hear anything from me. Nobody going to listen to my podcast. D, I put that in there just for you. Nobody's going to listen to my podcast if I start one. Nobody's going to support my business if I start one. If I start a clothing line, nobody's going to want to wear my clothing. If I start construction, nobody's going to trust me to build their house. If I, they won't. All of that is in your head. All of that is your self-image projecting onto other people. There are probably people who are dying to support you. Again, I got to raise my hand because I've struggled with this in my life as well. There are some people out there who are dying to support you. I told myself in 2022, I don't know nobody. I'm meeting all new people this year. Now, I ain't cutting nobody off and all of that. I'm not friends with nobody no more. No, it's not that. I'm just in a place where I want to seek out the people who mean me the best. And I'm going to do what I need to do in order for me to reach these people to receive what I want. But there's a thing called confirmation bias. And with confirmation bias, you believe that it's not going to work. So if you do it, you give it a half-ass effort. And since you gave it a half-ass effort, you got bullshit results. And then you say, see, I knew it wasn't going to work. Let's say that again for y'all. Confirmation bias is when you don't believe something is going to work in the first place. So you give it half-ass effort. And your half-ass effort is always going to give you some bullshit results. And then once you got them results, now you like, see, I knew it wasn't going to work. No, it would have worked if you gave it all the effort. Now you keep going through life giving half effort, confirming your belief that it wasn't going to work over and over and over again. Now it's woe was me, nothing never going to work for me, nobody's never going to give me a chance. I'm all of this stuff. All in your mind. Reinforcing that negative self-image over and over until it's so strong, you will never try to do anything. In psychology, there's something that's called learned helplessness, right? So learned helplessness is best analogized by a grasshopper, right? If you catch a grasshopper and put it in a jar, the grasshopper is going to jump, hit his head. We used to do this when we was young all the time. Jump, hit his head, jump, hit his head, jump, hit his head. Then you can take the top off, and the grasshopper, out of fear of hitting his head, will never jump that high again, even though the top is removed. And as people, we become the same way. That's how we build our self-image up to a point that says, you know what, I cannot go higher than this. So guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try my best. I'm not going to try nothing new. I'm not going to try to succeed. I'm not going to try to live the life I want to live. I'm just going to sit here, wallow in my misery, and then when I get a chance, I'm going to just sit somewhere, close my eyes, and daydream and imagine I'm living the life that I want. When you actually have the capability of doing it once you change your self-image. If you're a man from Philly, right? You won't even network because you're gonna think people think you Joe. I gotta find out from people from other cities what terminology they use, and it's crazy because I don't really know how to explain it. Like, what does it mean to be Joe? It's like, trying to explain the word sometimes is hard, right? When you're being Joe, it's like you're being, too friendly. I don't know. I don't got no notes on that. So I can't remember how to actually, I never could actually define it to say to somebody from another region so that they can tell me what they call it in their neighborhood. But we call it being Joe. And you think trying to Oh man, that's always something. Boy, it's always something. My internet just unconnected in the middle of the broadcast. Oh man, oh man. Uh, anyway, where was I? Where was I? The whole being Joe thing. Yeah, so your self-image will have you viewing other people, thinking other people view you a certain way, and in turn, you will not even attempt to do what you need to attempt to do. So one thing I heard, I was reading Psycho-Cybernetics, and in it he says, new roles require a new self-image. And it made me think about like whenever a person runs up against what appears to be a brick wall, somebody will say to them, "You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy." And what that means is you can't see yourself as where you've been. You have to see yourself as where you presently are and where you're going. You have to create a self-image that fits where you are and where you're going. Now, you only want to have a self-image that fits where you are if you already came from somewhere that's lower and you on a higher trajectory. If you on that medium, on that mediocre plane, or on that lower plane, you want to create a self-image that fits your future only. New roles in life require a new self-image. So where are you struggling at in life right now? What are you struggling with in life right now? I said I'm getting ready to give an altar call at church. What are you struggling in life with right now? Now, what does a person who is thriving in what you're struggling with look like? What does a person who is thriving in what you're struggling with look like right now? That's the image you need of yourself. That's the self-image that you have to create. Maxwell Maltz teaches that your self-image is elevated through mental visualization. Understanding this, your brain, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a real event and a heavily imagined event. So that daydreaming I was talking about, you can take that daydreaming and turn it into creative imaging. And instead of dreaming about something that you don't think you're ever going to accomplish, you take that time to meditate. Great book on meditation right here, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Amazing, amazing book on meditation. Dr. Joe calls it conditioning your body to a new mind, or visualization, as Maxwell Maltz teaches. You take that time to create that image and meditate on that image. Don't just daydream as something that's just fleeting. No, take this time to actually see yourself becoming better. Take this time to actually see yourself doing something out of the box. Create a new image of yourself. Force yourself to do some different things for a week. One of the things I was never into was trying new foods. And I would brag about that. Listen, if my mama ain't feed it to me when I was a kid, I don't eat it now. That was my thing. I wasn't trying nothing new. But as I began to learn about this, I realized that it's not just about food. I was always closed to certain opportunities if it didn't fit what I was looking for. So in an effort to retrain my brain, I said, I'm going to spend a week where I'm just saying yes. I'm saying yes for somebody. Now, obviously, we ain't just saying yes to anything. Some stuff you got to put your foot down. But I'm saying yes to everything that's reasonable. Even trying some foods that I would never try because that has never been my thing. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm getting used to saying yes to what could be opportunities. I'm changing the image of myself. I'm no longer going to see myself who is closed off to certain things. I'm no longer going to see myself with a fear of trying. Because my thing with trying new foods was always, I was so fearful of, like, you ever had some nasty food? You be trying to get it off the roof of your mouth, like, ugh. So I was always like, I don't want to try anything new because I don't want to have that nasty taste. Right? The thought, and that's called probability neglect. So you can deal with cognitive biases. That's the probability neglect. What I talked about earlier. What did I talk about? Confirmation bias. Those are both cognitive biases. You can look them up. So probability neglect is when you only focus on the probability of something going wrong, and you never even think about it actually going right. Most people who are afraid to fly deal with probability neglect. They only think about that very infantile amount or percentage that the plane will actually crash. They don't think about, like, it's not going to happen to you. Like, it's not going to happen to you. Probability neglect. And that was me. Whenever somebody brought up like trying something new, I never had one thought about it actually being good. So I neglect the good and only saw the bad. The only thought that was in my mind was, that might be nasty and I ain't gonna try it. So I had to do something to change that. As I was working on myself, as I was working on creating my new self-image, I was looking at every area in my life that I was closed to. And I had to begin to open myself if I want to receive the abundance of opportunity. Because you can't receive an abundance of opportunity unless you're open to an abundance of things. If you have this small, limited, narrow view of what you're okay with, then it's going to be hard for you to receive all the opportunities that you could have received, because you're looking for things to be so specific. Everything turns you off. Everything scares you. Everything seems like something that's never going to work. Nah, you got to open yourself up, begin to see yourself differently. So through that visualization process, or like I said, as Dr. Joe calls it, reconditioning your body to a new mind. When you're in that creative imagination state, right? So this is what I did. I love to sit by the water. I used to go sit by the water every day in the summertime from 5:30 to 6 o'clock. I would just go sit by the water and I would just get into my creative imagination. And I would allow myself to feel, because when you get into your imagination, your emotions automatically take a hold of you, right? So it's like you can watch a sad movie that you know is not real. It's a movie. It's not even based on a true story. It's just a sad movie. And while you're watching it, you get sad. Nothing happened to you. You ain't go through no real trauma or nothing. You just watch something, and because of what you saw, it began to evoke emotions. So with your creative imagination, right, I would sit by the water, and you ain't got to sit by water, but wherever you do it, think about what you want to take on next. And think about it vividly. I mean, see what you got on, see what colors, see the people that are there, put faces to it, have conversations, and feel the emotions. So a lot of times when you start to think about going to another level, right, you start to feel that worry, feel that fear, and then condition yourself to that. Now, it's one thing I always teach people. Every emotion has a chemical reaction in your body. There's absolutely no difference between fear and excitement. The same upset stomach you get when you're scared is the same butterflies you get in your stomach when I was getting ready to say something crazy, but I ain't. It's the same butterflies, brothers, when a woman is kissing your stomach and you're thinking about her going down. It's the same thing. Excitement or fear, the only difference is what you call it. So now when I'm imagining in my creative imagination and those feelings come up, now it's on to me to put my own description on it. Now I'm not calling it worry and fear no more. I'm calling it excitement. I'm not afraid of this next chapter. I'm excited for this next chapter. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm excited for all the opportunities of something new. And I'm feeling all of the emotions, and I'm taking the negative names off of it. And I'm ascribing positive names to the same feelings, because this is the thing, right? When you have these ideas of doing something new, the feeling is what stops you. Ooh, I got a bad feeling in my gut. Ooh, that don't feel right. It's the feeling. It's never the logic. It's the feeling. So now what you got to do is recondition those feelings and put a positive name onto the feelings you once called negative. Now I'm changing that, and I'm changing my self-image at the same time. Because what was a part of my self-image that told me to be afraid, I'm now telling myself to be excited. And now I'm changing my self-image from someone who's fearful to someone who's excited about opportunity. I'm no longer doubtful. I'm just going to be aggressive in attacking what I want to accomplish. Instead of me being doubtful, I'm just going to be aggressive. I'm just going to go head first into it. I'm not going to doubt if I can, how I can, if they will, if they'll let me. I'm not going to get no. I'm going to see myself as being somebody who is aggressive with my goals. And I'm changing my self-image. I'm no longer seeing myself as someone who's fearful. I'm seeing myself as someone who's excited. I'm no longer doubting myself. I'm being aggressive in accomplishing my goals. And I'm no longer being hesitant. I'm not seeing myself as hesitant no more. I'm seeing myself as somebody who's proactive. And through my creative imagination, I'm shifting and I'm changing my self-image. I'm creating an image of myself that grabs life by the goddamn horns. I'm creating an image of myself that's ready to take over the world, that's ready to control my own destiny. I'm no longer going to be a victim of fate. I'm no longer going to be a victim of chance. I'm no longer going to be a victim of oppression or racism. I'm going to control my destiny. I'm going to see myself as somebody who can control my destiny. I'm going to see myself as somebody whose life is in my own hands. I'm going to see myself as somebody who can. I'm going to see myself as somebody who's capable. I'm going to see myself as somebody who is relentless even when I go against obstacles. I was teaching the brothers in my Monday night men's group. Somebody who's a hurdler, don't look at hurdles as hurdles. So you and I got to jump over that. But if you're a hurdler, that's what you do. You ain't worried about no hurdle. You jump over hurdles every day. That's what you do. That's your self-image. I'm relentless when I'm chasing my goals, even if I have obstacles. In many languages, there is no word for crisis. The only word they will use will be equal to our English word opportunity. It's not a crisis, it's an opportunity for me to overcome. Got a quote from on my wall over here that says, pressure squeezes effort out of winners and excuses out of losers. Pressure squeezes effort out of winners and excuses out of losers. Which one are you going to be? Which one are you going to be? You going to be the winner or you going to be the loser? It's up to you. But when you begin to work on that self-image, first, when you understand it, right, just acknowledge that it exists. Because a lot of what holds us back are things that we never even knew existed. So you never heard of self-image. You never heard of confirmation bias. You never heard of probability neglect. You never heard of learned helplessness or any other cognitive biases that I might mention or psychological things. You never heard of an autonomic nervous system. It's a lot of things that I'm going to be bringing to you guys on this podcast that you probably never ever heard of. You never start to study the brain. You never got to deal with biology and physiology. But I've got enamored with that stuff, and I've learned so much about how to actually turn your body, turn your DNA into a success magnet. Turn your DNA into a success magnet to where your subconscious behaviors just lead you to success. But one of the first things we got to understand is that self-image. That's what's keeping you back. And I want to challenge you to catch yourself whenever you say, I can't see myself doing that. I want to challenge you to catch yourself whenever you say, I can't see myself doing that. And if I know everybody that's watched this, you're going to catch it when you say it. Catching these things is 90% of the battle. Recognizing, that's my cognitive bias right there. That's my probability neglect. That was my negative bias. Oh, that was my status quo bias. Oh, when you catch it, oh, that was my self-defeating habit right there. That was my negative self-talk. Oh, that was my self-doubt. That was my upper limit problem. Oh man, I just self-sabotage. When you catch it, you can course correct it. Oh, I love a quote I heard that said, you can't course correct doing nothing. You can't course correct doing nothing. You can only course correct if you're actually moving. So get the moving, get the going, and recognize that you have to change that image of yourself. And when you change that image of yourself from somebody who's doubting, fearful, and hesitant, somebody who can't, somebody who thinks nobody's going to give them a chance, somebody who thinks that you're just being Joe, somebody who thinks that nobody wants to hear from you, somebody who thinks that nobody would ever believe that they could do that. When you change yourself to somebody who believes in himself, your self-image is somebody who believes in himself, somebody who is no longer fearful, but they are excited, someone who isn't hesitant, someone who isn't a procrastinator. When you start seeing yourself as somebody who can take life by the horns and ride it like a bull, when you begin to see yourself that way, you will begin to take over your life. Oh man, thank all of y'all for tuning in. Definitely appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight and everybody who's going to be watching the rebroadcast or listening to this on anywhere podcasts are listening to. Listen, this is just episode 1. We're going to start getting into a whole lot more deeper stuff week by week, and sometimes I'll probably just go live when I got some stuff on my mind. And if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I want you to text TRIBE, TRIBE, to 833-447-0101. Or if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast, text TRIBE to 833-447-0101 so you can always stay in the loop and get notified when I'm going live. So what's going on next Tuesday, I'll be going live right here at 9 p.m. It's going to be Ask BF, so specifically for Black men to tune in and ask any personal development questions. As a coach, I want to help brothers through whatever their issues are, whatever it is, whether it's personal, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, whatever it is. You can call in with your questions or tune in with your questions, and I will talk you through whatever it is. Next Wednesday, I will be back here with another topic at 9 p.m. Next Thursday, or tomorrow and the following Thursday, we're wrapping up our Black Men's Personal Development Book Club, the book Being is the New Doing. And on on January 20th, we're going to be reading Male vs. Man by Dondre Whitfield. Again, if you text Tribe to 833-447-0101, you will get the information to all of that to join our book club. And I'm also doing coaching. Yeah, I'm doing one-on-one coaching, and I'm reopening the Monday night 10-week Empowering Black Kings group coaching. The last session, the last 10-week program we had was amazing. Our brothers loved it. We got our group chat and everything that we continue to talk to each other in and everything. So we're opening that up too. So if you just go to bfnkrumah.com/coaching, you will be able to join those things that definitely come with a fee. And make sure you follow me on Instagram, BF Nkrumah, on Facebook, BF Nkrumah, and on YouTube, BF Nkrumah. I will talk to you guys next time. Love y'all.